Morning, Messiah. I'm coming to you from my garden shed on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon to prepare and share with you a little bit of a Wednesday morning devotional. The text for today is a repeat of the gospel story from Easter Sunday. It's from Mark the 28th chapter, and I'd like to read it to you from the Message version. Here we go. After the Sabbath, as the first light of the new week dawned, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to keep vigil at the tomb. Suddenly the earth reeled and rocked under their feet as God's angel came down from heaven, came right up to where they were standing. He rolled back the stone and then sat on it. Shafts of light blazed from him. His garments shimmered snow white. The guards at the tomb were scared to death. They were so frightened they couldn't move. The angel spoke to the women. "There is nothing to fear here. I know you're looking for Jesus, the one they nailed to the cross. He is not here. He was raised just as he said. Come and look at the place where he was placed. Now, get on your way quickly and tell his disciples, he is risen from the dead. He is going on ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there." That's the message. The women, deep in wonder and full of joy, lost no time in leaving the tomb. They ran to tell the disciples. Then Jesus met them, stopping them in their tracks. "Good morning," he said. They fell to their knees, embraced his feet, and worshiped him. Jesus said, "You're holding on to me for dear life. Don't be frightened like that. Go tell my brothers they are to go to Galilee and that I will meet them there." This is the gospel of the Lord. Well, again, welcome to our Wednesday morning devotional being produced here from my garden shed on Tuesday afternoon. It's been a beautiful day. Spent some time in meetings and doing some work for the church, and also some time outside doing some work in my yard. I was going to go for a run, but the water fountain conspired against me, and so Kirsten and I have been working on that here for the last hour or so. But I want to share with you some of my thoughts about resurrection. We've heard the story from Sunday, and I just reread it to you from the Message version. This amazing experience where the women went to keep vigil at the tomb. They basically wanted to stand beside the one who had died and be with him in death. Fortunately, or in a most unexpected way for them, the angel of the Lord intervened and said, "Whoa, wait, he's risen. He's not here. He's going to meet you in Galilee, where you and the other disciples can be with him in a very real way in daily life." Now, I don't know if you are at all feeling like me, but here in the midst of this pandemic, with growing numbers of people who have been infected, growing numbers of people who have died. And yes, here on this Wednesday after Easter, there does seem to be some positive signs that we are flattening that curve of increase. We're plateauing, and hopefully the rate of infection and the rate of death will begin to decline. My hunch is we have a ways to go yet before it will be in any way possible for us to get back to something nearing normal, but time will tell. And like I said on Sunday, we can listen to wise leaders to help us figure out the proper way to move back to something that's normal. But here in the midst of all of this news and the unemployment rate going up, a little bit of stir craziness on the part of a lot of folks trying to homeschool kids and also work from home or be present in some way for older parents, being concerned about friends and neighbors, relatives at a distance. In the midst of all this, I think it's hard to get a sense of how is Jesus present with us in the midst of this kind of daily life activity. How is Jesus really here? I mean, the announcement of the angel to the Marys and then Jesus meeting them there on the path as they went to greet the disciples. These kinds of messages seem wonderful, but how are they coming to us today, here, Wednesday morning, and all throughout the day today? Well, let me share a little bit of a story from when I was just starting out as a pastor. One of my first calls was with a husband and a wife who were living out in the country. And he had cancer, and it had been told by his doctor that he would not live very much longer. And so he and his wife decided to have hospice come, that he wanted to die at home, and that they would say their goodbyes to one another, their friends, and their children. And so once most of that had taken place, the goodbyes, and the house had gotten kind of quiet out there in the countryside, they called me, their pastor, to come out and visit with them. And so the gentleman in his hospital bed and his wife in a chair on one side, and I was in a chair on the other side. We were drinking coffee, and the gentleman in the hospital bed was sipping on water. And he said something very, very profound to me. He said, "I'm not afraid to die. In fact, I'm less afraid to die now than I have been in the last weeks or months. I've been able to say goodbye. And in many ways," he said, "I've been able to let go. I don't need to worry anymore about whether or not I'm going to get well. I know that I'm going to die." And he said there was such a profound freedom in that, not having to struggle or fight anymore. He said he's been surrounded by relatives and kids and neighbors. He and his wife have had good talks. And he says he felt that just a kind of peace had come over him. And then he said something I had never realized before. He said, "It's almost like I'm resurrected here, now, before I die." And I want us to maybe think about that in our current situation. We are going to have some deaths that are going to happen. We are going to experience some things that we don't know what kinds of things we're going to have to let go of or lay down our life about. But what we do have, I think, like the gentleman in the hospital bed in his house out in the country was telling me, that we really don't have control over a lot of our outcomes. And letting go and trusting in God to raise us from the dead. And there, I'm getting out of the sunshine that just came out. Letting go and trusting God, leaning into God, not having to determine the outcome anymore. What if we here on this Wednesday simply leaned into God and trusted that whatever the future is going to be, it's going to be in God's hands, and that we will be raised up, whether it's from the little deaths that we're dying every day as we distance and as we adapt, to the big death that we will all experience at the end of our lives. What if we were to lean in, trust God, and let God raise us up to whatever new future God has for us? I think it takes a lot of pressure off of having to manufacture a future that we're not really sure we could pull off anyways. And trust that the one who raised Jesus from the dead is also the one who has our future in that one's hands. So today, I invite you, go forth, let go of outcomes, let God do the work, be busy with the important things of the day, like loving others, loving God, being in community, sharing a good laugh or a good word with others. And in the midst of that, I think the peace of the resurrection will dawn for each of us. I love you all. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again soon. Bye now from Messiah Lutheran Church in Auburn, Washington, and my garden shed. Bye now.